Hey everybody, how's it going? B Temple back again, and it's been a little while since the last review I did, the vintage Italian ration. So yeah, I got something a little different today. This I'm pretty sure was only the second ration review of this particular French ration that you've ever seen. The only other one I believe was from Steve 1989. That was probably about 4 years ago or so, I think. And his particular menu of this ration was a #1, so we're going to get a chance to see if maybe there's a little bit of difference in some of the menu items. I assume there's probably going to be some difference in the mains, but who knows, maybe some of the other smaller items will be slightly different as well. So what do we actually have? This is a RILC, or Ration Individuelle. I think it's Lyophilisé, something along those lines. Lio or Leo, I don't know exactly what the pronunciation of that the first part of that word is, but basically roughly translates to individual freeze-dried Commando ration. So this is a French Commando ration. I got this particular one from a person in France who originally had been part of the French Paratroopers. A previous review I had done of a vintage French NATO emergency ration. That would have been back probably in May of 2019 I did that review. That particular ration came from this person's personal kit, and so did this. So I really have no idea what the quality of it's going to be like. It says the expiry date is October of 2011, so it expired 9 years ago. So I'm not exactly sure when it was actually packed. It's probably maybe like 2008, perhaps 2007. I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll find out once we open it up and have a look. So this is meant to be a 24-hour ration, and yeah. I guess the next thing to do is have a look inside, see if anything's glaringly bad. So first we've got a pack of St. Georges biscuits, and these are some of the same biscuits you see in French rations today, just obviously slightly different. Now the lot number says 2007 355, so I'm going to assume this is packed on the 355th day of 355th day of 2007, and gives a 21st of December 2011 expiry date. Got ourselves an Esbit stove kit. In here you'll find the Esbit stove itself, some matches, a small garbage bag, and the fuel tabs. So this is the first minor difference between what I have and the menu that Steve had, even though the expiry date, I believe, was exactly the same year. So we've got a Voyager brand pasta bolognese, and it's freeze-dried, and the vacuum seal still appears to be pretty good. So that's at least a good chance that this is probably still edible. And Voyager sometimes still makes some of the mueslis for the breakfast items in modern RCIR French rations, so it's a company that's been around for a while for French rations. Then we have a pack of chicken risotto, and this is packed the 28th day of March 2008. Standard pack of French tissues. We got 2 soups, and I assume this is asparagus, and the main ingredients in the back are potato, asparagus, and vegetable extract, malted dextrin, I guess cream, milk powder, yeah, salt, vegetable oil, sugar, milk protein, and onion, and I guess some preservatives. Sometimes growing up, having to learn French in school sometimes helps out a little bit. So yeah, these are 2 Commando bars. You see these today, packed exactly the same. And these are the, I assume, vanilla version of them. There's no differentiation of flavor on here. So maybe back when these were first made, they only made vanilla. Because now you can get, I think, like red berry or forest fruit. You can get coffee flavor, things like that. Got ourselves I guess a jelly fruit bar. Something similar like you would find in French rations today. Got ourselves a chocolate bar. A nougat bar, which is slightly misshapen, but I guess we'll see once we open it. Packet of caramels. And a drinks and accessory packet, and we'll open that up. Got a hot chocolate and I guess a dry milk powder. 3 coffees and 2 sugars, 2 packs of pepper and salt, and a mint green tea from Lipton. So there we have it, everyone. That's the whole ration laid out. Doesn't look that bad. There's nothing sort of glaringly obvious that something's bad, except for something you can't tell, which is the smell coming off it. There's certainly some sort of bleachy, you know, old ration item kind of smell I'm getting here. And it's a couple things it could be. It could be the dried milk. Could be the biscuits. That's probably what it is. Could possibly be the caramels, actually. So I guess we'll get our tray out and try to pick out how we're going to break this down. I don't know if we'll just do it all in one, or if we'll break it down into actual meals. There's not a tremendous amount of items here, so we may be able to actually just do this as one whole thing instead of breaking up into 3 very small meals, but we'll be back in a second. So guys, this is all the items that we're going to hopefully try out. We'll open up a few of them just to have a look inside in case something has gone horribly wrong. And if everything at least looks pretty good, I guess we'll start getting some hot water for our mains and for the tea and the cocoa and whatnot, and the soup. And then we'll try a few things out. Okay guys, just a few initial observations, I suppose, is the best way to put it. The main, the pasta bolognese, actually doesn't look or smell too bad. So it had a very, very strong seal. So that's a good, I guess a good sign at least so far. The chicken risotto actually doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit of a weird smell coming off it, but this entire ration seems to have a bit of a weird smell. The one thing I said before, the fact that this belonged to a member of the French Paratroopers. I have no idea as to the quality of how this was stored, and the person did say they actually, you know, this is part of their personal kit. So there's a possibility that they were carrying this around at some point. So, you know, the probability that this has seen large fluctuations in temperature is pretty high. So we'll at least try these out, but I'm not gonna go too crazy. The milk powder has gone a little bit yellowish, and it's got a fine bleachy kind of smell to it, and even the hot chocolate mix has a bleachy kind of smell. The caramels actually have some sort of weird kind of coffee smell coming off of them, so I don't know if that's meant to be a normal thing or not. The chocolate and the jelly bar actually don't look too bad, as does the Commando bar. And the nougat, even though slightly squished and very sticky, doesn't actually seem that bad. Now, the one glaring problem are the crackers. So these smell horrible already, and I can't quite tell that if some of this stuff is mold or if it's just shortening fat separation. And I'll try a nibble of one. You get 4 packs of these salted ones, and you get 4 packs of the chocolate ones. The chocolate ones don't seem to have as much of that residue on them. So I honestly, like I said, I don't know if it's mold or if it's fat separation. But we'll maybe give it a try. Hopefully it doesn't turn my mouth numb or anything like that. But we'll just get a little bit of hot water now for the rest of our stuff, and we'll move on. Alright, so while our mains are just finishing after a little bit of cooking time, let's crack it open a pack of crackers and see what they're like. Alright, sorry, phone rang. These don't seem overly crispy, and do not have an inviting smell in any way, shape, or form, but let's try a little tiny taste and just see if there's any redeeming qualities about them. Oh, wow, yeah, those are, they're only half crisp, that's the best way to describe it, and it's an immediate bleachy kind of taste, and doesn't quite make your tongue or your gums burn or feel numb, but it's an incredibly unpleasant kind of taste and feeling. So I'm not gonna go back to any of that. We've got a tea here that actually, I must say, it's a mint green tea, and it doesn't smell too bad. Now the problem is the packet came in. It's kind of a, I wouldn't say very robust packaging, so I don't know if this has also taken on a lot of the weird smell from inside. Also, the Esbit stove kit probably doesn't help. The fuel tabs from that probably give off a bit of a bad smell as well. But let's just see if this has affected the taste in any way. That's not too bad at all, actually. It's a really, really nice peppermint green tea. If that, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between that and one that was fresh. So I guess some things do stand the test of time, I guess. But who knows? Maybe not everything. We've got a soup here. which is an asparagus and potato soup. It's gotten very thick, so it's probably got emulsifiers and things like that in there. But I'm sure the potato starch helps with that as well. So we'll give ourselves a little taste and see what it's like. That's surprisingly not unpleasant at all. That's a weird way of putting it, but I guess the packaging for some things has actually held up pretty well. That's nice. It's got I would say an equal potato asparagus kind of flavor. It's not too strong on the asparagus end, and it's still nice and salty, things like that. So it's a good solid, nice warm soup. It's one thing I noticed though with all of this, there's no form of like an isotonic beverage of any kind. So what you're going to get to drink is going to be, I guess, cocoa and tea and coffee and I guess dried milk. I suppose theoretically that could be cool or room temperature depending on the water you use, but you're not getting anything isotonic here. Still going to be waiting for this just to make sure everything's all good, so maybe we'll try one of our bars. Let's give our Commando bar a try. This is, I assume, vanilla flavored. Not bad. It was a lot softer than I assumed it would be. I thought that was going to be hard as a rock based on the fact that sometimes those Commando bars dry out very badly. That's better than some of the fresh ones I've had. Now the taste is quite great. You can tell it's old. But it's not horrible. It's not like it's sort of a gag-inducing kind of thing. So another surprising item for something that maybe was carried around by somebody in the Middle East or Africa or somewhere like that, or Asia, Europe at some point. 10, well, not 10, but at least 12 years ago or so. Let's try one of our caramels next. Yeah, that's not great. It's got like a little bit of like a coffee aftertaste, and I don't know if it's supposed to have that or not. And then just that sort of slight background note of, old musty books kind of thing, which comes a lot of the times with older rations. Once you do this enough and you have enough vintage rations, that's a smell that you get used to very quickly. Is that kind of old book smell. Let's try a few more of our dessert items, I guess. Let's give our jelly candy a try. And that's absolutely perfect. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. Hasn't gotten too hard. Can't quite place the flavor. It's almost a little bit like a pear, apricot kind of thing. So I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, but it doesn't appear to have aged in any way. So that's another very surprising item. This is working out a lot better than I thought it would when I opened it. Try our chocolate next. As you can see, a little bit of surface bloom, but it's not that bad. And once you bite through it, the bloom hasn't sort of gone through the chocolate. It's just very much on the surface. And that's perfectly fine. That's better than some French ration chocolate that I've gotten out of a 2 or 3 year old ration. So this chocolate here is about 12 years old or so. And no negative comments about it at all. We'll try our nougat next. It's almost like we could get it here sometimes from Ghana, like a Roman nougat, I think it's called. You used to be able to buy that in stores. But we'll see if this is similar to that or not. Oh, now, that was one of the things that did not stand up well. Oh, there's something in that nougat that has gone horribly bad. I don't know if it's the pieces of dried fruit or something like that, but oh, that was not pleasant at all. Now, I'm getting a horrible aftertaste and sort of sensation in my mouth. Let's wash that away. Oh yeah, that's nice peppermint tea. So yeah, really the only thing left to try, guys, is our mains. So I'm not going to mix up the milk or the cocoa because they smell horrible, and this can end up being something that's probably about a half and half kind of ration, which I was not expecting. I was expecting to be maybe 1 or 2 items in here that were still good to eat. So this has got a bit of a better track record than I thought it was going to. So let's try out our risotto first, see how it turned out. So as you can see, it's very carrot and peas forward and lots of rice. Now, one thing you notice sometimes hot water can bring out the bad smell in a food item that's gone off a little tiny bit. And both of them actually, even the one with the good vacuum seal, don't have a very nice smell now that they've been sitting around in hot water for a while. So we'll try it, but I don't have overly high hopes. It's not bad, but it's nothing I want to go back to. I'll say that it's not going to make my mouth feel numb, but it does leave a weird aftertaste that's a bit more than what you would just assume from a freeze-dried meal. Like it's a bit too chemically for my mind. So yeah, I don't I don't feel particularly keen on going back to that one, but let's try our last item, our pasta bolognese. It's made a little bit of a mess. This has got, it looks an awful lot like the travel lunch pasta bolognese. The pieces of pasta look exactly the same, the meat looks exactly the same, and the sauce smells and looks exactly the same, except this smells horrible. Once the hot water from the Keurig went into this, I immediately just got a waft of bad food, is the only way to put it. So yeah, it's like sour, like you left pasta out in a bowl somewhere for a while, or you left it in the back of your fridge for far too long and then cracked it open, and you can just tell it's gone sour. So I'm not going to eat something that I know for sure is bad, but for the most part, we ended up having a nice few good items, which is more than I can say for what I assume was going to happen when we open this. So this has been a review of a menu number 2 RILC, or a individual freeze-dried Commando ration from France, from around, I would say, 2007, 2008. It was probably packed sometime in 2008, I would say, based on some of the date codes on some of the items that we have here. So, you know, over 12 years old. And not knowing the storage conditions of it and all that kind of stuff, I'm pleasantly surprised by how good some of the items actually were. That can show you every now and then that, you know, some of these items last a lot longer than the prescribed time that they're given. A lot of the times those things are more of like a enjoyed best before, not to say it expires at that point. So there is a bit of a difference between best before and expire. So, not a whole lot left to say, guys. This has been a review, like I said, of an RILC. I think only the second review of this particular ration ever on YouTube. So I was very excited to get a hold of one of these and then have a chance to actually show it to everybody. And, yeah, like I usually like to say, guys, thanks a lot for stopping by, and have a good one.